Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jim Welsh, and I'm here with Payroll4Construction. I also have Tom Greco with me as well. Looks like, Tom, I need to make me the presenter. And then, Tom, just let me know you can see my screen okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So first off, I want to thank everybody for attending today's webinar. We're going to kind of introduce Foundation Software and Payroll4Construction, give you a little bit of background on kind of what those two products are, what they do. I know we have some Estimating Edge and McCormick clients attending as well. So, we're going to kind of let you know how we've all kind of come together here as a family and under one umbrella. And we're kind of, estimating meets accounting, meets payroll, and we're kind of all those connect today. Unfortunately, today is a listen-only broadcast, so you won't be able to kind of, shout at us like we allow you to do during, live one-on-one demos. So this is meant to just really give everybody a very high-level overview. And if this is anything that intrigues you, whether it's one product versus the other or both, we'll make sure we provide you with my contact information along with Tom Greco's contact information, because what we always encourage are basically live one-on-one demos. That's where you'll get to kind of have it tailored to your company's specific needs, where you'll be able to stop somebody like me and Tom and ask questions. Now, you can type questions in if you've never used kind of GoToWebinar here. There's a spot you can type them in. Some of them we may answer as we go along. Others we may wait till the end. But no matter what, we'll make sure all these questions get answered. So here's our contact info. Again, I'll pop that up here at the very end. And what I'll do is just briefly touch on kind of, before I hand it over to Tom to talk more about Foundation, just kind of let you know, especially if you're an Edge or McCormick client, you may be already aware of this, you may not, but over the past couple of years, we've acquired the companies and kind of came together. We're more of a family and a team here. So, our products work really well together. So, whether you're using something else for accounting or something else for payroll, of course, you could continue to use, Estimating Edge or McCormick with those products. But, if you're also looking for something different, these products work really well with us. So, as you're getting bids and, you put in your bid name and your budget, that stuff can auto then turn into a job and import that budget over into Foundation upon you being awarded that job. And we're going to continue to expand on this stuff. If afterwards people want more information, we have a team that, if you're currently using the two products or looking to use it, we can get you more information on these integrations. And then with McCormick, which just, in case there are people who aren't using either of these, McCormick's more electrical plumbing, whereas Edge is roof, fireproofing, stuff like that, even some concrete masonry stuff. They have a few different products there. So how it would work with McCormick is, your material list can push over, your item list, your unit cost, units of measure, item quantity, all of those things can populate over into Foundation so that you don't find yourself having to set these things up in both your estimating system as well as your job cost accounting project management system. So with that being said, what I'll do is I will come back to Payroll4Construction, but we'll, without further ado, let Tom jump in here and kind of let Tom explain how Foundation works. So do you need me to give you controls, Tom, or can you take them over to share?
I think you would have to hand them over.
Okay, change presenter to, let's see if this goes to you. Did that go to you, Tom, or no? That might have went to. Okay, there we go.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tom Greco. I'm one of the regional sales managers over here at Foundation Software. Happy to have you all on today's webinar. Thank you, Jim, for the introduction, and I'm here to kind of talk a little bit about, from the accounting side, who Foundation is, and talk a little bit about the efficiencies of how we can use more of a construction-specific accounting platform to kind of bridge that gap between estimating and accounting. And then definitely Jim's going to talk about the payroll side, how Payroll4Construction integrates with Foundation, both as something that could be a built-in payroll service, or even if we have people on here that are not ready for an accounting system change, how Payroll4Construction can benefit you on just payroll processing. But with the Foundation side, we are an integrated job cost accounting solution. By design, we look to have everything in one solution, whether it be accounts payable, accounts receivable, the general ledger, payroll, certified payroll, union reporting, AIA billings. We pretty much do it all. We also have other complementary products like Project HQ that are more geared for project management, the RFIs, the submittals, the change orders. But, as we know, all of that stuff needs to be cohesive. It all needs to talk to each other. And really, it all starts with the estimate, right? So Jim touched on the Edge and McCormick, and we do work with other estimating solutions, but those are pretty much the ones that are under our umbrella, have some nice integration pieces. And most definitely, we look to kind of bring that stuff in so that once we have that estimate in the software, we have some usable numbers, right? So we're looking to bridge that gap between what happens in accounting versus what happens on the reporting end, where the estimates definitely come into play. What you see on the screen here right now is our executive dashboard, and it's kind of usually where I start with all my demonstrations, is kind of highlighting if we do everything right, if we have these budgets that live in our accounting system, if we have accounting functions happening, here's some of the output that we can get from Foundation from the reporting side. With the dashboard, it's designed to be security driven as well. So you might see some other tabs in here like financials, cash analysis. But mainly what I'm going to focus on is definitely bridging that gap between job costing and accounting and job costing. And with the system being kind of the ERP or the accounting backbone, and everything we do in the system has some type of effect on our jobs. And from a reporting standpoint, whether I want to come in here once a day, twice a day, every other day, I can rest assured that all my jobs are constantly being updated as accounting functions are happening. So if you're using something off the shelf like a QuickBooks or a Peachtree, something that's not really conducive to construction and job costing, we definitely are a nice alternative that would, kind of bring in all those budgets and estimates, and then also give people who need those numbers usable numbers that they can review. I can come in here and I can drill into this graph and see pretty much from a high level or top-down view of all my jobs that are currently in the system. It's giving me a lot of real-time information, seeing, the contract amounts, estimated cost, and I'll kind of talk about how estimating comes into play with that budgeted cost. See what the job is supposed to make versus what's really going on each job. So a couple key things that we see a lot of other systems fail to do is change orders. So when we look at jobs in Foundation, we have a process for change orders within either our project management side or the accounting side. When we look at jobs, we know that this system holds all the change orders, both from the contract side as well as the estimated cost side. So we're able to see up-to-date contract amounts, up-to-date budgets amounts, and also definitely up-to-date accounting amounts. So as invoices are being produced in the system, as cost is being incurred by job, we're able to see really how our jobs are performing, what percent complete we are, and then also whether or not we're underbilled or overbilled. And we'll talk kind of how we can keep everybody on the same page from an over-under billing perspective. Some people kind of classify that as more of your accounting report or accounting-driven report or quarter-end report. But we also should probably make others aware of whether their jobs are underbilled or overbilled. And it's kind of to prevent that, I didn't know it was underbilled, I didn't know it was overbilled, so that the accounting folks and the project management folks are on the same page. We're also able to then drill into these jobs. So, when we start to kind of want to take the next step and analyze a specific project, all I pretty much have to do is point and click on that job number, and I'm able to drill directly into that job. So in this case, we're looking at Midwest Turnpike. And as we drill into Midwest Turnpike, we can see pretty much every layer of the job. So I touched on, off-the-shelf systems like QuickBooks and how we're different. And one of the things I mentioned was change orders. Another thing that makes us very different from the QuickBooks of the world or those other off-the-shelf systems is also subcontracts. So always kind of a struggle to track those in multiple places. I'm tracking them outside of my accounting system, none of which get into the accounting system for usable numbers like committed cost tracking. It is something that you're able to do in the system, and if we do issue subcontracts, they are job costed. We're ultimately able to see, where our subcontracts are at real time. Same thing with change orders. I'm able to drill into any one of these sections and see every single change order for this job, every single subcontract for this job, every billing that's gone out the door, and every dollar of cost. And I'm going to touch a lot more on the cost side to see how, what we produce from the estimating side, how can we then compare that to the accounting side and see where we live, where we're at real time on each job. So we're able to see that this job has $242,000 worth of cost. And then we're also able to drill into that cost and see that budgeted breakdown. And this is kind of the first look at how the estimating side directly integrates with the accounting side. So when this job was created, we set that job up in the system, and then we're able to bring those budgets in. Nice integration piece from Edge, so that if we have, people, estimating an Edge and we want to bring that budget into here, we're able to job cost against it. Or if you're using another system, that's okay too. But we most definitely want to have those estimates live in the system. Having that cost code breakdown kind of gives us a little bit more detail within the job itself to see, what we thought the job was going to cost by line item versus what's really going on. And really the what's really going on comes from Foundation and comes from those accounting entries like payroll, like AP, inventory, equipment tracking. So every dollar of cost we're looking to track in the system. And then we're able to drill into that cost. So if I want to drill into that specific line item that came from the estimate, I can then drill into it and I get that next layer underneath it. So I'm able to analyze not only just the line item as a whole, but then every cost category or what we refer to as the cost class. Whether I'm looking to analyze estimated labor versus actual labor, estimated labor hours versus actual labor hours, material dollars, equipment. I'm able to see all that cost in real time, and then from there, if I would like to see what makes up that cost from the accounting side, I can continue to drill in all the way to the furthest level of detail. So if labor is what we want to analyze here, and maybe we want to see how we've worked up to these numbers, I can then drill into that labor category and get all the detail behind it. So as payroll was entered in, payroll is coded to the job in the same fashion that we're looking to track cost-wise. So then we're able to see those results in real time. As we drill into other categories, we're always able to drill into the furthest level of detail. So we don't just stop here and not provide you with what accounting functions make up those numbers. Everything's auditable from a cost perspective. So I'm able to drill into other categories. And if I would like to, I can keep drilling all the way in and drill into a copy of an invoice. So when we do accounting functions in the system, such as AP, we are able to attach images within the system. We could even get into some routing and approval. So if we're looking to kind of make a paperless system on the AP side where we're uploading, routing to PMs for approval, all things that Foundation does extremely well. Other items that are kind of tough to track in other systems is equipment. If we have equipment that we want to be able to job cost, record utilization, potentially turn around and bill for on time and material. All that stuff we're able to track in the system. And if we're looking to see what equipment was used on a specific job, how long it was used, and how much did it cost, we do have equipment tracking and an equipment module that we can set up pieces of equipment, and even from our mobile products, have individuals not only code their payroll from the field, but then also code their equipment hours. So I always kind of like to start with the output and talk a little bit about how that estimating side really meets accounting, right? So, each job is independent. Each job has its own budget, not only just from a cost analysis perspective, but I'm sure Jim can touch on too on the payroll side. As we set up these budgets too, it also gives our individuals in the field, if we're looking to code payroll to a job, it gives them the ability to code just within what we're looking to track. So it doesn't, it eliminates the garbage in equals garbage out. So if we have 100 cost codes and maybe only 7 are on a specific job, it only allows them to code to 7 codes. So it kind of keeps them within that budget too from a parameters perspective, both on the payroll side as well as other accounting functions. So I always like to kind of start here, talk about the output, talk about the estimating side, and how that meets with the accounting side. We're also able to do a lot more than just estimated cost versus actual cost. This is a fully integrated accounting system. If you were to log into Foundation for the first time, this is pretty much what the main menu would look like for the most part, in which we have all these various modules that all are cohesive, all integrate within each other. So, really what we're looking to do is minimize the need to enter in data multiple times in multiple areas. One that is definitely pretty popular is the AIA billings. So a lot of off-the-shelf systems that kind of forces you to have to do these in Excel or Word, none of which go into our accounting system, and kind of we're stuck in that same loop of entering data into multiple places where we want to eliminate that. Within the AIA itself, we're able to set up our cover sheet within the system, set up our schedule values, and that also might come from the estimating side as well. So this is also a potential meeting point of where estimating meets job costing as well as accounting, in which we're able to come in, whether we want to bill a line item by a percentage of completion or a whole dollar amount. We're able to do that by line item in here. Also track retainage, so that when we run an open payables report, all that retainage is visible to us. We're not having to track that once again somewhere else. It's all in the foundation, all able to be tracked. And ultimately, once I've completed that pay application, I can produce that pay application directly out of the accounting system. So I don't need to do it in Word anymore. The AIA forms are pretty much uploaded into here, and I can send this out the door, and it will produce both the cover sheet as well as the schedule values. We're also able to produce over-under billing. So another, report that usually takes companies that aren't using something construction specific a lot of time and potentially a lot of money if they're having to outsource maybe their outside CPA or somebody third party creating their over-under. This is something that, with the system housing all the billings, all the cost, I should be able to produce, whether it be at the end of the month, the end of the quarter. It should be something that comes directly out of my accounting system, as opposed to, doing that in Excel or some other means outside of where I'm doing all my accounting. So we're able to produce reports like this, huge time saver. Have change orders flow into these reports. And obviously, we're having the billings and the cost included in the system. And if I need to create a journal entry to record the underbillings or the overbillings, that's something that we can also record in the system. Also touching on some other areas, obviously the system can produce financials like a balance sheet, P&L, custom P&Ls, where we also have our own built-in report designer. So if we're looking to create different job cost reports or even different P&Ls, it's all things that we can create in the system, so that we can tailor make the system to you from the reporting end, as opposed to just saying, hey, this is all the reports that are included. Obviously, if there's more questions and from a demonstration perspective, we can spend more time with you going through a lot of the other screens, like AP, purchase orders, and things like that. And we highly recommend anybody that's interested in learning more about making an accounting system change, reach out to me directly, or we can reach out to Jim as well. And we'll be able to set you up with more of a focused demo, kind of talking a little bit about some of the other modules and maybe a little bit more of the flow than what we have time for today. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Jim, and Jim's going to talk about the payroll side, touch on who Payroll4Construction is, and obviously talk about payroll in its entirety.
Thank you. Great stuff there as always, Tom. Appreciate that. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. It's not giving me the option. Well, I can make myself the presenter. I got it, Tom. Cool. You got it there, Tom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So Payroll4Construction. So as you can see here, really just from beginning to end, that's what we try to help contractors with, from bidding, getting the estimates in, getting awarded jobs. Obviously, like Tom said, it starts there, then flows into accounting. Now another big part of construction is the payroll piece. You got to pay these employees to go out and work on jobs, complete jobs, kind of keep everything moving here. So, we're trying to help with all facets of the office, from not just office, but field, like Tom had mentioned. I'll touch on here in a few minutes as well. We see a lot of times, and we do promote best of breed here. That's why, Edge and McCormick, we're natural fits with us and us with them, because they're the best of the breed in the industry for, the trades that they work across. So that's why we didn't build just some generic estimating system that, that we hoped worked for most of the trades. We want everybody to be happy here, meaning estimators happy, accountants happy, APAR clerks happy, also payroll manager. So, Payroll for Construction is actually powered by Foundation software. So for some of our clients that buy Foundation software, they just run their payroll right in-house, and you can do that. Others decide that, hey, I'm going to buy Foundation, and I'm going to also have Foundation act like an ADP or Paychex, where we're responsible for paying the employees, the checks, the direct deposits, the city, state, federal taxes, quarterlies, garnishments, W-2s. So while Payroll for Construction can work with Foundation, just like all of our products, they can stand alone. Payroll for Construction can also be used like an ADP or Paychex in conjunction with a QuickBooks or another accounting system where we can integrate it with that accounting system as well. So we do this all over the country, all 50 states, whether you're a contractor who works and has employees that live in one state, or you're traveling, whether employees are traveling or your scope of work is throughout the country where employees live in different states. We do a very great job here with multi-state payroll. The reality is the more complex your payroll is, the better we do with it here at Payroll for Construction. One of the big things we specialize, or two of them, is union government prevailing wage. It adds another layer of time consumption, along with just complex reporting, or if not complex, just time-consuming reporting, from union reporting to EEO minority compliance to things like certified payroll. These are things that just really can bog the office down. So aside from just paying employees and paying the taxes like a standard service would do, we get involved with much more than that. Again, like compliance reporting, multi-state tracking, job cost reporting, and things like that. And the reason we can do that is because, as you can see here, it's just bits and pieces of Foundation. So that screen Tom was just on, if you were a full Foundation client, we wouldn't disable or hide any of the modules that you had currently purchased. You would just get payroll in and be able to submit it. And then we could do all those steps. So kind of those Foundation clients already have some of those things, as we speak, they already have the reporting. But for somebody who wanted to use this standalone in conjunction with a QuickBooks or something like that, this is where, things like prevailing wage or union, being able to set up special agreements for prevailing wage and attach them to the job, or being able to set up, if you're a union contractor, being able to set up your specific unions, your specific work classes, deductions versus fringes, what they're called, how they calculate, how they're taxed. Again, these are all things that are very unique to each union, each class, and each individual benefit in regards to how they calculate, what they calculate at, and how they're taxed. So being able to track these things and maintain them and roll them over when they're supposed to is kind of the beginning part of payroll that we do a great job with. Now, if you're a non-union contractor, we can handle prevailing wage, fringe tracking, however you handle it as well. So the other big thing is, which I'll touch on here briefly, is job costing. You saw a lot of it on Tom's reports. Again, these webinars are pretty quick moving, pretty high level, where we can't pause and let you shout at us, where we can kind of dig a little bit deeper. But, when we talk job costing, whether it's in Foundation or us as Payroll for Construction, we're not just talking the hours times the employee's rate of pay. That's a big part of it. But things like FICA, FUTA, SUTA, workers' comp, fringes, whether it's union or non-union, benefits you pay, those are all a part of job costing. So, anything from vacation tracking, garnishments, sick pay, hire, fire, stuff like that, we track all that. Same with workers' comp. Some companies come to us and they have a pretty, simplistic workers' comp where, Bob always falls under Class A and Susan always falls under Class B. Other times they're tied to sometimes those bid items or cost codes, call them what you may, especially in roofing and electrical as well, where, you could have higher or lower workers' comp depending on what that employee is doing. So being able to set up those cost codes and have those jobs be created in here, whether they're pushing over from one of the estimating systems or you're just creating the job in the system, all that stuff comes together. And then our clients are really just reporting hours to us and letting us handle the rest. So some clients are manually entering their time. Other clients are using a mobile app out there that they really like, and we can work really well with them. So those are things that you can do that, or we even have our own mobile application. Now, Foundation has some more features to theirs just because there's a lot more you're tracking and a lot more going on, whereas Payroll for Construction is more or less capturing the time, by having an employee clock in and out, or just allowing for an employee or a supervisor grab a group of employees, select a job, and then again, those cost codes or bid items. Mine, I kind of have everyone under the sun here that I've created over the years in here, but as Tom was saying, if upon the estimate uploading to this job inside a Foundation or Payroll for Construction, if you only had 5 of those items or cost codes on there, when that employee or that foreman selected said job, they would only have 5 to pick from. So these things could be unique to the job. You could have different names per job as well, depending on how those are uploaded or set up within Foundation or Payroll for Construction. Again, as Tom mentioned, some clients don't need equipment tracking, in which case we would just get rid of that. So we can really customize this to either have a foreman doing it for groups of people, field employee doing it, and then it rolling up to some type of supervisor, foreman, where they can edit or proof it by job, or they could edit or proof that stuff by employee, and they could, whether they had clocked in or out, or you allowed for them to just enter lump sum hours, they would be able to make the change to the cost code, the hours, the date, the job, and eventually approve it, where all that time would end up back in here, where you'd be able to just give it a once over, where you'd be able to run some proofing reports where you could see by employee, days, jobs, cost code, regular, overtime. You're seeing some rate changes here because I have Craig set to make $11.50 an hour when they're on private work, but as they go from public or prevailing wage job 1 to job 3, those rate increases will happen automatically because the wage scale is actually tied to the job. So in both Foundation and Payroll for Construction, we know it's key in this industry to be able to run reports by employee or by job. So those criteria pages really allow you to run reports for whatever date range you want, for whatever job or employee you want, whatever cost code you want. You really get to pick what you want to see and how you want to see it in real time in both systems. Then eventually you submit it. We pay the employees, we pay the taxes, the data either stays in Foundation or gets imported to QuickBooks or another accounting system, so that you get all that job costing and all that general ledger information back in your accounting system without doing payroll twice. And then reports, anything from workers' comp reports to EEO reports. I mean, we don't have just one canned report. We do this all over the country, and we know that depending on where you're at, there could be many different reports. Certified payroll. Certain places now require you to go online, so we can upload to California DIR, EMARS, or LCP Tracker, or really any agency where it takes the data. It doesn't look real great, but the point is we don't want to give you a nice clean report and have you physically type it in. Again, you're starting to double and triple up on payroll, so this could just upload it right to one of those agencies, or print. I can go in here, and as you can see, depending on where you're at, city, state, federal formats, we have them all in here where you can just literally, once you submit payroll, print, sign, and send. And then in here, you can just come in and say, okay, here's all the certified payroll data for that project with both the, no work performed, the physical filled out copies, as well as if I go all the way down that signature page as well. And then, last couple like burden job summary. This one's good for not just getting total job costing, but I like this one because if we know Rick, in my case scenario, makes $15 an hour, 40 times 15 equals our 600. But when we add in all those burden items, we get to the true to the penny cost per hour per employee. Again, all about being able to provide some information to estimators and, your bidders out there to kind of help keep the company profitable and keep things moving. So sharing information, benefiting reports on all sides that help out all parties. And then again, if you were union, you'd be able to run a nice union report that broke down your company's name, the date range, the union, by employee, hours with totals, gross with totals, total into each benefit. And then I'd have a nice little summary page for whatever union I needed, detail page, summary page. So Just a quick recap here. I want to open it up for questions. We try to keep these to about 30 minutes. We're going to go a couple over here, but hopefully everybody finds it valuable, and then we'll let you type in questions, or if you have any now, you can even start typing them, because I'm going to be about 2 more minutes here before I open it up. So again, quick overview or recap. Foundation's a full job cost accounting system built specifically for contractors. Again, can work with Edge, can work with McCormick, can work with, hey, if you're doing estimating in Excel, can basically work in conjunction with many products or stand on its own. Same with Payroll for Construction. Can be used as a foundation client as it's built right in, or can be used kind of in the environment I just went through where it stands alone and works with QuickBooks or other accounting systems. And then both of these products are accessible online. So you'll be able to access all this information, everything we showed you here today, from any computer with internet, the mobile app, of course, from any cell phone, tablet, any smart device out there. So you can do this and you can make it work with many other products out there. Again, a lot of information, short period of time, a lot of people sitting in on this, so it's hard for us to really tailor this or pinpoint it to you. So whether it's you just want pricing to start or you do want to schedule time, we're very respectful of your time. We're not overly aggressive here. So if we know it's about the right fit for the product, but we also know it's got to be about the right timing here. So don't be hesitant. I'm going to, again, pop up our information here to leave you with as you ask any questions that you may have. And then from there, you guys can feel free to reach out to either one of us. And if it's the wrong product, we'll push you to the right person as we sit right next to each other. So I'll give you a second to type questions now. Okay, looks like one here about Payroll for Construction asking, what happens if we need to do a check immediately on our end? This does happen? Okay, yeah, great question. So assuming like layoff, payoff, or termination checks where, you can't wait on us to turn around, this is very typical of every single client we have here, where you would absolutely, again, that backbone of an accounting system, even though you may not be using our full accounting system, you're using parts of it, and that gives you the ability to print at any time. So your normal weekly checks and direct deposits, just like any service, we'd be handling for you, but you could at any point in time, without calling, emailing, or waiting on us, produce a check to pay an employee immediately there. Somebody asking on foundation side of things, Tom, about their CPA, how hard is it hard for their CPA if they were going to leave a QuickBooks to kind of learn learn foundation?
Yeah, so from an implementation standpoint, we provide implementation and training to anybody and everybody. So when we take on a new customer, it's just not welcome to foundation. Here you go. Here's some spreadsheets. Set this up on your own. We do full implementations here. So if it's you, the company, learning foundation, we're a big hands-on part of both the setup of the system, teaching you how to use it, bringing your balances over, tying you out, all that stuff. But then also we would provide training to the CPA as well. And then from there, obviously we have our own customer support department. We do all of our support in-house, as well as our training is in-house as well. So we try to provide a learning solution for anybody and everybody that goes with foundation.
Perfect. And I was going to even say I think there's even like a dedicated, Tom, I would have to turn it back over to Tom, but there's even, I believe, a dedicated section in there for CPAs to get in and grab what they want.
Yeah,
so it's really up to them on how much of the software they want to learn. And you touched on, looks like the last question here, Tom, you basically touched on it. How's the support for these products? And it's all homegrown, like Tom said. So every support from the time you deal with us to support training, there's a live receptionist who always takes your phone call to check what's going on. Things can get hectic for any company, and especially in today's world with support. So we like to prioritize those calls where, if it's something that, hey, I need this, but I don't need it until end of week. Okay, great. Where it's, hey, it's my payroll day, or I need to reverse a billing like now, we can get you right through to one of our support reps that, again, are all hired by us, trained by us, and, supporting you guys and supported by us, all in the same office. So, okay, looks like that's it. I don't have any other ones coming across. Again, we want to thank everybody for attending today's webinar. If anybody has questions, feel free to reach out, and hopefully we'll connect with some of you guys down the road and be able to help you out. Right. Have a great day, everybody.